I guess really, if you told me 5 years ago, I'd be running a strategic transformation consultancy underpinned by tech, and be in the process of helping a university prepare for their own Salesforce implementation, I probably would have laughed. I started my life in food, did 20 years in the food industry. I was probably an underlying tech geek, but I never saw myself working in tech. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm a mum. I'm now a consultant. I'm now a certified Salesforce administrator, which is fantastic. But my journey in tech, it wasn't a straight line, as I've alluded to. I studied food science at Reading, and I spent 20 years in food industry, working with lots of different tech and running projects. But I think eventually, after reaching senior leadership roles and a redundancy, I pivoted into self-employment. Its own challenge, but it really helped me balance the work-life side of things, which I probably hadn't achieved before. And I just started helping families save money on utilities. So a completely different pace and a completely different skill set, but exposed even further to tech. Um, I guess life throws curveballs, and during COVID, my marriage broke down. My mum got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I ended up moving in with my parents to care for mum while dad built a house and shared a room with my then 6-year-old daughter. So it was rebuilding from the ground up, and I just thought, what is it that I want? What am I really passionate about? And I love helping people, and I love helping businesses and organizations kind of get through all the chaos. And so I found myself in a project management role for a tech company, and worked as their account manager and got exposed to learning management systems and CRMs. And I was like, this stuff is brilliant. It can solve so many problems and it does so many things. So I suppose fast forward a couple of years, I went into another tech role for another company and ended up being made redundant from them this April. But prior to that, I had decided, look, I'm not happy doing what I'm doing. I'm starting to get frustrated, and I really need to put myself back to school. And I found Supermums through I think like a flexi learning platform, and I'd seen a couple of interviews with you, Heather, and I just thought, you know what, this this has such a good vibe to it, and I'm not learning on my own. I'm not just sitting in front of a computer clicking buttons. And so I explored further and I had a chat with Lynn, and I realized, yeah, this is the kind of environment I want to learn in. This is the kind of support I want to then be able to take the next steps after getting those qualifications. So I took the plunge. I was at this time still unaware of redundancy looming, and I decided to dive into the certification in February this year. And yeah, probably didn't realize how much of a shock going back to school essentially would be. But the cohort I was with were so supportive. We were all in a really similar position, either juggling jobs, juggling families, juggling care responsibilities. And just the way that Supermums delivered the course and provided the support and encouraged us to provide each other with support was just inspiring and really motivational. And I think in some of the toughest times, when life and family seem like they're too much, that you don't have enough time to study, you kind of helped each other through because you realized others were in the same position. And I think for me, that was the power of what Supermums gave you through studying the course. I don't think I realised that at the time. I just felt it was a really supportive network and that I'd get a really good qualification, and one that's, internationally recognised. So yeah, I went through and completed my certification in July. And I tell you what, the network that I did my studies with are just still super engaging. They're still super supportive. We're part of the alumni group now, but there's so many chats that happen outside of that, and motivation for doing job interviews and job applications and just sharing resources. I think the powerful side of being in a group like that just really helps to carry you. So during that time of study, I got made redundant, and I thought, bit annoyed at the time, bit frustrated, bit emotional. I think everyone is when the redundancy comes and lands on your plate. But I realized it was a bit of a blessing. Um, Took 2 weeks off, caught up with my Supermums group and caught up with some of the studies, and then I rewrote my LinkedIn profile. So I joined one of your, I think it was LinkedIn and careers building sessions, and had some really great insights on how to tackle my LinkedIn profile and sort of retailer it to that consultancy side that I realized I'd always done in every job, but I'd always just regarded myself as an employee. So yeah, restyled my LinkedIn profile. And then 2 weeks after redundancy, just put myself out there as available for work. And I think I wasn't expecting it, but I had a message from someone I'd worked with previously, and they were an MD, so someone that I very much looked up to, someone that, I thought there was kind of like a them and us kind of level. And the message was really simple: Hannah, exclamation mark, WTF, full stop, call me. And I was just like, oh, that's quite shocking. So I called them the next day, and they basically said, don't go and work for somebody else. You can do this. Go out on your own. Tell me what you're up to right now. So I shared with them my Salesforce journey with Supermums and what I was doing, and where I had planned to be maybe sort of like March next year rather than May, June this year. And yeah, they gave me the courage just to bet on myself and to step out and be like, I might not have that qualification yet, but I've got all these other transferable skills, and I've I've got, a really strong base on which to have the confidence to go out and do that with. So I did, continuing my Salesforce certification, and then setting up my own business, designing a website, getting testimonials from previous people that I'd worked with. Um, yeah, and I think all the way through that, just having my little cohort in the background, and Liam, our trainer, and Lynn and Kelly in the background, just I think supporting us all and just being really motivational, made me think like, yeah, actually, like I'm not just backing myself. There's other people who barely even know me, and they're backing me. They believe in me, and it was, yeah, it was a great vibe. So yeah, fast forward a couple more months, and I had my first engagement with the local university down here. I think it was mid-May. I think I was still doing my website. I'd registered my business, but there wasn't much else to show. And yeah, I went in and spoke with them, and by June we'd signed a contract, and I was walking through the doors. The beautiful part of that is, little did I know at the time, but they were looking to bring in Salesforce as their CRM. So I'm now working with them to do all the discovery sides of things. So everything that I've been picking up through the consultancy course that Supermums deliver as an add-on to the administration side is fantastic, because it's come at a perfect time. It's a lot of stuff that you know already, that you might have done but not realized. It just comes with a really nice framework and structure. And it's really helped us step through and deliver a really strong business case, and really start engaging with, I guess, the Salesforce team that the university need to go through sort of procurement with, but in a way that we already feel like they know what we need and what we want. And I think without having had that exposure through Supermums, um, I would probably feel more nervous. I think, it's definitely challenging putting any sort of business case together, because there's a lot of stuff that you don't know, and you won't know until you're delivering the project. But yeah, this is like the Supermums side of things has really given me the confidence to be stepping out there, and yeah, doing what that I know in my gut, really, but that gives me a framework to deliver it on, that keeps me on the straight and narrow, prevents the side quests. And I think that's really important. So I guess, as I say, like my current role now is I'm a strategic transformation consultant. But on the side, I still help people save on their utilities, and more recently, I'm helping a local charity raise money to cover their fees for the Children's Disability Club. So they introduce sports to children with disabilities, and I'm trying to use my other bits and pieces that I do outside of consulting to help them fundraise their pitch fees and facilities. And I think just recently I've realized that actually, through my experiences, there's like a few tips and tricks that I can offer others, whether it's individuals or businesses, or people just having to start again. So I'm looking now at putting some sort of small little public speaking bits together with some of the networking groups I'm engaged with down here. Um, which is, I guess, kind of leads me nicely onto what tips would I give anyone thinking about putting themselves back to school in the Salesforce sense. And it's a big leap to put yourself back into education and to restudy and learn something completely new. But I think the key here is you've got to believe in yourself. And there's going to be moments when you doubt yourself. But remember that there's others who are going through that same journey and they will have the same wobbles. And you can wobble together. And when you wobble together, you actually find stability. So that I think is yeah, don't be afraid to reach out to the people that you may never meet in person on your cohort, but will give you such strength from sideline chats and WhatsApp messages. The other is your mindset. Like it's really challenging balancing family, caring responsibilities, a full-time job. And I think, just know that your mindset is your most powerful asset. So invest in some personal development, some motivational talks. I love a guy called John Rohn. He's an amazing motivational talker. And I think what really kind of helped me start my mindset was a book called What Color is Your Parachute? It really helps you understand, doesn't matter where you are in your career, just starting out, having graduated or just left school or being made redundant, like they help you see what you maybe can't see because you're so emotionally invested in desperately trying to find a new job. So those I think are some really key tips I would share. And just be consistent. Every step you take is a step forward to your end goal. Um, and I think really, at the end of the day, remember you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for anybody else. You're doing it for your own self-gratification and your own success. And there's always going to be naysayers, but those naysayers are probably looking at you in admiration, wishing that they could have that courage. But it's just easier for them to sound negative because they don't want to admit that it's not something that they could do or they're not ready for yet. So, yeah, switch them off and lean into those people that back you, whether they know you down to your bones or just literally know you from a few minutes on a course call. So, yeah, I think for me, Supermums, I didn't realize it at the time, but Supermums and my journey with Salesforce has given me so much more than I ever expected. And it's definitely a community that I plan to remain part of for a very, very long time.